Hello everyone, it's David from Automotive Press. I am so excited because my 2022 Toyota Tundra TRD Pro is finally here. How long has it been since I have been talking about the Tundra, especially the TRD Pro version? You won't believe how excited I am. So now what I want to do is to basically give you a quick walk around of the Tundra TRD Pro because this belongs to me now. And then over the next several weeks, I'll be doing many videos about the quality control, about the engine, the powertrain, the ride, everything, because this is a full production model versus the pre-production models that we all been driving last few months. In fact, I think almost every review of the Tundra TRD Pro out there is based on pre-production model, and there are almost no reviews of the actual production version like this one right here. So I'm really excited to show you differences I've already noticed between this one and some of the pre-production models we've driven before. But for now, I'm going to give you a walk around because I just picked up this car a couple of hours ago, and I'm still learning about the new Tundra TRD Pro, but of course, I already know a lot about it, having talked about it for the last many months or so. So let me show you around and let me introduce you to my Tundra TRD Pro. Welcome back. So as I mentioned, I just picked this up a few hours ago, so I'm still getting to know all the ins and outs, even though I've driven the Tundra TRD Pro multiple times before. Now, they were all pre-production models from media reviews, so I've already noticed that there is a fair amount of difference in terms of ride quality, quietness, NVH, which is noise, vibration, and harshness, and just the overall performance. This thing is tighter, feels quieter, the ride is better, and even the engine sound better than the pre-production models. On the other hand, it's not a perfect truck. Now, in terms of paint quality and body fit and finish, it's really good and better than some of the earlier Tundras I've seen. But for example, would you believe that Toyota actually made one really unbelievable mistake, which is this emblem right here. Maybe you don't notice it right away. I didn't right away either. But this D is flipped around. It's supposed to be this way, which I'll show you on the other side because it's done correctly. And you can even see that the outline is a little bit misplaced. So I don't know why, but the supplier obviously put this in wrong way, and no one noticed it all the way until I picked it up. I'll show you on the other side because it's done correctly. So you can see this D is done correctly. There's no strange marks in the back because it's fitted into the groove correctly. I don't know how they missed it, and to be honest, it's pretty shocking that the quality control people did not see that and the supplier made that mistake. But you know what? I guess I'm one of the first to get this. In fact, I think I am the very first person to buy the Tundra TRD Pro in Canada. So I expect that there are some issues. A few other things I've noticed is that this rubber piece here, which is kind of a semi-hard plastic, was not seated correctly. It was misaligned. The other side was okay, but this one was not. So the service guy was able to move it and put it properly. But there's still a jagged edge right here on the corner, which looks like maybe it was a design flaw in the beginning, and as they open and close the hood, maybe it interferes with it. So at the supplier, they decided to cut this manually, I think. It's not done by machine. So it's got a very jagged edge, and it's not a big deal, to be honest. It doesn't cause any kind of functional issue, but again, it's a bit of a surprise because if I was a Toyota quality engineer in charge of this vehicle, as I'm walking up and down and checking the quality, is something that you will notice right away. So those little trim pieces, maybe it's not a big deal, but it's something that Toyota should be able to control and manage better. I wouldn't expect something like that from, let's say, a 4Runner, which is built in Japan. The rest of the body and paint job is actually really good. I'll do a proper paint audit and integration audit as well later on. For now, I just want to show you a quick walk around. So all this stuff looks good. The gap here is a little bit wide, but that's okay. It's properly aligned. The paint job is excellent. There's no problem with the gloss and the consistency of paint. There is a bit of an orange peel across the side, but that's pretty well normal for a truck actually, so I'm not surprised by that. Some people are complaining about this gap here, so I do have that gap over here as well. You can see that this molding finishes here and this one ends here, so there's a bit of a gap. To me, it's not a big deal, and it doesn't matter if the water goes in there, because when this window is wet from rain, it goes in and water just drains out anyway. But yeah, if you point it out, then it's noticeable. Now, I think you already know that the bottom part of the paint is a different texture from the rest. That's to avoid any kind of paint chips when stone kicks against it. So as the stone kicks against it, maybe during off-roading, this is designed to be able to withstand that. So it's a thicker paint. It has basically a thicker, kind of like almost like an undercoating top coat on this. So that's pretty normal, and it's good to have that. Now, interesting thing, this particular Tundra TRD Pro came with a rock slider or rock crawler, as we call it. This is not even offered as an option yet. It did show up in the option list for a very short time, and then they took it away. But in the Tundra TRD Pro, at least for mine, it came with it. Now, the good thing is this is high off the ground, so perfect for off-roading. This will protect all of the debris that might come off from the bottom, or if you're going over a big rock, this will protect the body. So it's really good for off-roading, but it's pretty well useless as a running board because it's not a running board. So if I want to get into a truck, I can't step into here. This is too small and too slippery. So it's not a running board replacement, it's simply a protection during off-roading. So I'm thinking that I might replace that because I don't need to go through any kind of heavy off-roading. I really need this to be more of a running board for my wife and or any other people that has to climb in and out of the truck, because it's pretty high off the ground and it's not easy to get in and out for someone with my height. If you're 6'5", you're probably okay with it. So this is something that I think I will replace. If you're interested in buying this from me or maybe swapping with a TRD style aluminum running board, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to swap it with you. What else is going on? Well, the paint job here all looks good here. The alignment of the gas cap, which is sometimes difficult to do, it's actually very good. Sometimes this is sticking out, but in this particular Tundra, looks really well done. I'm still not too crazy about the this digital camo or technical camo they call it, because it looks kind of cheap. And honestly, if this truck was sold in Japan, which isn't the case, a chief engineer will look at it and say, there's no way I'm going to let you sell it with this pattern because it doesn't look really finished. It almost looks kind of semi-finished. So I'm not too crazy about it, but it is pretty unique. And then here's the tires. Now, interesting thing is that the TRD Pro comes with the Wild Peak AT, and it's called the AT3W, but it's slightly different from the TRD off-road version of the Tundra, which also has a Wild Peak AT3W. So slightly different design. This one has more of a blocky design, so it looks more off-road capable. Not necessarily it is. Also, the other thing is the consumer version of this tire has the 3-peak mountain symbol, which means that it's all-weather format, but this one doesn't. This is mud and snow, M&S, so it's good enough for most conditions out there, including winter conditions, but it is not officially rated with the mountain symbol. So that's a bit of a surprise because I thought they would keep that. But anyway, for me, it's not a problem here in Vancouver. You already know that there's Fox shocks front and back, a big stabilizer bar in the front, and actually the undercoating is pretty good here in terms of the over here, and also big plastic here. If I do put a bigger tire later on, then I may have to raise it even further, which I don't plan to do for now. Very light and very well designed BBS forged wheels. So I really like the design of these wheels. I don't plan to change the wheels, but maybe the tires later on. Let's get to the back of the truck. Now, initially I was going to buy the Retrax tonneau cover, which has a T-slot on the side here and the other side, so I can put all kinds of accessory from Thule or Yakima. But it just turned out that this Tundra TRD Pro arrived at the same time with the tonneau cover installed from Toyota. So I decided not to buy the Retrax version and I kept the Toyota version. But the very interesting thing is that this year, this tonneau cover is now backflip MX4 version. I'm pretty sure it's exactly the same as a backflip because it's much lighter and also thinner and much easier to flip compared to last year's model, which had a very thick panel that was designed by another manufacturer. So I'm really glad they changed to this one because it is definitely easier to flip because it's lighter. And if I flip one more time, it's still a little bit awkward here. Then it has a sponge here or foam so that it rests against the back cab here, and I can lock it in place. So The only problem with this design is that it completely blocks the rear view if you have to open all the way, which doesn't happen very often. There's also a little bit of a rod here. This is a classic backflip design that you can move this and lock in place to make sure that it doesn't flip over. It's a kind of safety features. So that is on both sides. So this is again very much a backflip design. So I do like the tonneau cover. It's lighter, it's easier to handle. And then this also came standard with the bed mat. I was trying to order the bed mat and they kept saying that it's back ordered, you're not going to get it. So I was going to order the aftermarket one, but it actually came standard with it for Canadian version of the Tundra TRD Pro. I have a bunch of stuff in here right now. I intend to put some 2x4 so I can put some panels across. It comes standard with these locking mechanism as well, 4 of them. In Canada, we cannot get the spray-on bed liner, but I might get the bed rug, if you know what that is, when it becomes available. It's not available yet for Tundra, but it's basically like a rug finish. It covers both the bottom and the side. So either I will wait for that to come out, or maybe I'll just design my own, because that's not difficult to do, and maybe attach it by Velcro onto the bed. Really big bed. I know this is a little bit lower than last year's model, but plenty high enough that I can put a big cooler in the back. This is more than big enough for me. I don't need the extended, longer version, which is not available on the Tundra TRD Pro anyway. So this is plenty practical. I'm still a little bit upset at Toyota that they did not design a place to put my foot to climb into the back, because it's pretty high up. And I guess I will have to buy the either aftermarket or Toyota's version of the bed step, which did not come with this truck. So that's something I will take care of later on. I'm going to also add some strips along here. I'll talk about that later on, because these tonneau covers are not 100% waterproof. You're going to get some water leak into this bed, which is a problem here in the west coast of Canada, because Vancouver gets a lot of rain. But most of the rain or the moisture is going to get in from the gaps of the tailgate here. So I'm going to buy the tailgate molding and then apply it all the way through to try to make it as waterproof as possible, so that I can use the back of the truck the same way I would use a SUV like a 4Runner. Because right now you can't put anything in there that you don't want to get wet, because it will get wet. The other option, of course, is to have a big container or plastic container and put it in the back and put stuff in the container, which is what I did with the Tacoma. But this time I'm going to see if I can waterproof this as much as possible by changing the stripping on here and adding additional molding along the tailgate. So those are some future projects that I'll talk about in my future videos. But now let's take a look at the inside and finish off the video. Okay, so now I'm inside my Tundra TRD Pro. Once again, I'm excited about this one. I've got the cockpit red interior, which I wasn't too crazy about when I was looking through the photographs. But you know what? It's actually grown on me, even though I've only had this truck for a few hours, because it's not as bright as I thought. It's a little bit of a subdued red, and it's a very nice touch because most of the panels are actually black, and you get a kind of a beige or light gray headliner. And only the seats are red, along with the actual stitching here. So it's very tastefully done, and surprisingly, I'm beginning to like the red interior, even though my first choice would have been the black. Now, you've already seen some of this interior from my previous videos, but they have updated the software. In fact, when I purchased the vehicle, it was just going through a software update, and it seems to be a little bit faster and a bit easier to use. I know initially lots of people complained about this guest profile and how to link the actual key to the guest member or a person who's driving it. Honestly, that is not an issue at all. I'll create another video to talk about that. It just takes a few seconds to link the key to the actual truck, which in turn is linked to the memory, so that when you lock or unlock the truck, it goes to the memory setting for that particular profile. And if you don't want to link the second key, well, keep it unlinked and it will default to the guest mode, which again is not an issue at all. Also, in case you haven't noticed, you do get a full screen for navigation, very quick and very fast acting infotainment system, and everything is big. The letterings are huge. very easy to see. And of course, it has a wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. So actually works really well. Again, I'll create more videos specifically about the infotainment system, but I just want to tell you some complaints that people have made about this system. I'm not finding this to be an issue at all. Now, the JBL system is not a fantastic system, but it has a little bit better clarity and a bit better treble and vocal than previous Tundra, and it is definitely better than the JBL system in the 4Runner that I have. So overall, I think they improved the sound. Is it as good as something you find in Lexus, which is a Mark Levinson system? No, of course not, but it's pretty close. I would say 80 to maybe 85% as good as what you will find in expensive Lexus. The rest of the design here is well done because it's all physical button in terms of power, volume, and this is almost like Land Cruiser style. Rows of button, you push up and down, very easy to reach out. The only problem is that this is not lighted. So like right now on the bright light, it's hard to see these labels over here. So that's something they should have taken into account and either light up the actual labels or make it easier to see. Now this Tundra TRD Pro is fully equipped, so we get heated and cooled seat. And I know sometimes people complain about the strength of the AC, but I'm finding this air conditioning to be super strong, and I don't have to maximize the fan or to put it in the lowest temperature setting to get a cool effect. It actually works really well. I'll come back and talk about these cruise controls and MTS and towing mode in a future video, so those are something I'll do later on. And also in my future videos, I'll talk about the driving feel in terms of the steering, in terms of the engine, which is a hybrid system, the suspension and so forth. Just to give you a bit of a sneak preview, I would say the steering feel has improved over the pre-production model I drove. It has a better feedback, a little bit heavier than before, and it feels more natural. And the engine has been fantastic. Even though this truck only had 10 miles when I picked it up, the engine felt strong, and the hybrid system is, wow, what can I say? It has so much power and torque. It just takes off with absolute passion. So no complaints about power and torque at all. On this TRD Pro, it has a pretty loud exhaust sound, which is more noticeable when you're driving it. And some of it is a piped in sound from the speakers. So yes, there is a fake sound coming through, but it does sound like a V8 engine. They did a really good job of making the engine and exhaust sound like a big V8 engine. At least when you're sitting inside the truck, it feels pretty authentic. Now, I might pull the fuse off the fake engine sound because I prefer natural engine sound, so I'll deal with that a little bit later on. But the rest of the interior here has all of the features you expect in the flagship Tundra. So full digital instrumentation. This is really easy and clear in terms of the view, even though I'm under a very bright light. And this one also has a full panoramic roof, so I can either open just the shade, or I can open the sunroof or moonroof. And interesting enough, the sunroof and moonroof actually opens quite wide. So I'm going to just open that now to show you. And this part here is actually pretty big. It's really wide. You can have push one more time and open all the way. And you know what? You almost get a bit of a convertible feel. So it's not quite the Ford Bronco or Jeep Wrangler openness, but this is pretty good on a pickup truck. I think it's really well designed, and Toyota did a great job of making this as big as possible. It's got the wind buffeting thing over here, so that even on the highway, I found it's very quiet with the moonroof all the way open. So I'm actually quite pleased with that. I do have some complaints about the design of the interior. No issues in terms of cup holders or the charger for the phone. I have no problem with charging my phone. I know some people said it doesn't seem to work. It's working fine for me. But this thing here, we talked about this before. I don't know what Toyota was thinking. We get a nice rubberized mat here, but here is a cheap plastic that is flimsy and very slippery. So if you put key or coin or your phone, it slides over the place. Same for here, it's very slippery. I don't know what Toyota was thinking. Give us a rubberized texture or something with a bit of a cushion so that it doesn't make rattly noise. But this axis is good, and the center console is huge, and it's got good rubber grip inside the center console, but not here, which is the one that you're going to use most often. A big cup holder in the back. and huge space in the rear. I know that the rear legroom and so forth is slightly smaller than last year, but anyway, for me, it's not an issue because I'm not very tall, and we still get plenty of space in the back. Again, in the future videos, I'll cover a little bit more about the back and the lack of storage space and so forth. But the seats are very comfortable, and overall, I find the ride to be very comfortable. I do find the brake a touch sensitive. When you step on the brake, it nosedive quite easily. It's a bit grippy, but it might be because the truck is totally new and the brakes haven't quite worn in yet. So I'm going to reserve my judgment on that. But the ride is extremely comfortable and it's very quiet on the road. So it's almost like a luxury truck in many ways. If Lexus were to design a truck, I think it's going to feel like this. So overall, I'm extremely happy and excited about this purchase. I'll be using this a lot for things like fishing and camping and so forth, and also for just moving things back and forth as we are getting ready to move our office as well in a few weeks. So there's a lot more to tell you about this Tundra TRD Pro, because as an owner, using this every day, it's going to feel very different from being a journalist and using it for just 1 week as a media test drive. I plan to provide updates every week with you guys and give you new things I find or discover on the Tundra TRD Pro. So please make some comments, give me the thumbs up and subscribe so you won't miss anything I'm going to talk about in terms of this Tundra TRD Pro. So a lot more video coming your way. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, I'm signing off for now.